My dear student, today we discuss on the topic sovereignty, concept and characteristics. Before going to my discussion, I divide the topic in few points. Number one is introduction. Number two is the meaning of sovereignty. Number three is the emergence of the sovereignty and the definition of sovereignty and the characteristics of sovereignty, and last one is in conclusion. Dear student, all of you know that before going to discussion in a topic, we have need to give a brief introduction. In that case, I also follow this point. In introduction, all of you know that state is a central theme of a political science. Then the state is differ in various ways, but in every state have a few common feature, like as government, like as fixed territory, sovereignty, and also population. Among these four main features, sovereignty is one of the chief characteristics of state. Now we are going to the point, meaning of sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Actually, sovereignty is an English word, and this word derived from the Latin word supernus, meaning supreme. It is the supreme power of the state by which it commands and obedience from the people. Simply say that individual or association in a state all are under this supreme power, and they are not able to claim their immunity. So this is the meaning of sovereignty. And sovereignty is two types. One is internal sovereignty and another one is external sovereignty. What is internal sovereignty? Internal sovereignty means within a territory of a country, the supreme authority is state. External sovereignty means in international field, the state is free from outside interference. So this is the simple meaning of sovereignty. Now I come to the point, the definition of sovereignty. There are so many definitions in sovereignty, but I just quote few definition. Just few definition. First one is Jaboda. Jaboda was the first political thinker who propounded the modern theory of sovereignty. As per Jaboda, sovereignty is a supreme power over citizens unrestrained by law. And then, if we quote Grotius' definition, Grotius said, the supreme political power vested in him whose acts are not subject to any other and whose will cannot be overridden. As per Blackstone said, the sovereignty is the supreme authority. It is irresistible, absolute, and uncontrolled authority, in which the supreme legal power resides. And S.M. Hobbes said that sovereignty is the creation of social contract, and the sovereign is that individual or assembly who is authorized to will for the general purpose of a peaceful life. If we set the Rousseau's ideas of sovereignty, Rousseau said sovereignty was located in the people, expressed in general will, and voiced in the direct assemblies of citizens. And then Douhet, a French professor, who said sovereignty as commanding power of the state. It is the will of the nation organized in the state. It is the right to give unconditioned warders of to all individuals in the territory of the state. As same, Salta, one of the political scientists, said that sovereignty is a final legal coercive power by the state. As same, David Hale said that the political authority within a community which has the undisputed right to determine the framework of rules, regulations, and policies within a given territory and to govern accordingly. When we discuss anything or any issue, there is a big background behind this, and in that issue, sovereignty, we find a long and historical background how and why the concept is emerged in a modern political science studies. So, first, if we say the concept of sovereignty is a modern concept, and it is emerged by the hand of Jaboda in his Republic. He wrote Republic in 1576, where he said about the sovereignty. And sovereignty actually the sovereignty is a result of emergence of nation state in European countries. On that time, in European countries, there was a situation, the conflict between in 16th and 17th century in Europe. There was a conflict between state, church, and on that issues create the most powerful absolute authority as sovereignty. If we say that then the issue or 16th and 17th century is the point, the starting point of sovereignty. Not. It is totally wrong. Actually, sovereignty, the modern concept of sovereignty emerged in 16th and 17th century, but the background of the sovereignty, if we studied that, we found it was in Greek city-states. As all of you know that Aristotle is father of political science. He is not only the father of political science. He is a father of all sciences, and all not only social sciences, also natural sciences. So, as per Aristotle's view, Aristotle said that sovereignty is a absolute power of state. He was the political scientist. He was concentrated his ideas on the location of sovereignty, and on that basis he divide his views as in. Firstly, he said that according to him, I can say the deliberative body of the state should be sovereign, and secondly, he said law should be sovereign. And as per Aristotle's ideas, the Romans said that the fullness of power of state as sovereignty, it was generally accepted that state should be final authority, and Romans said that sovereignty is a final authority of state who solving the dispute between the citizen and law of the state, which was binding upon them. A concept of sovereignty is the emerged by the hand of European scholars. But if we study the Indian scenario, we find that there was also the background of sovereignty. If we studied Kautilya and Manu, Kautilya and Manu, our famous scholar of ancient India, they said that the king, the ministry, the territory, the resources, the force, the military forces and allies, these were the features of state. And they said that the sovereignty is the ministers and the kings of state is sovereignty. As Kautilya described in his organic theory of state, he compared king with Swami. Swami means king, and then Amartyas compared with ministers. He compared Janapada with territory. He compared Durgas with ports. He compared Bal with armies and Kosa, that means treasury. And he said that out of this characteristic or feature of state, Swami and Amartya, that means kings and ministers, are the supreme authority, and they control the state missions. So, as per Kautilya's view, Swami and Amartya are the sovereign authority state. If we studied or if we see the notion of Vedic period, then we found that Vedic evidence shows that the state had a duty to protect her citizens from external aggression. At the same time, the state had a duty to maintain internal order by enforcing respect for the traditional laws and traditional customs. So, simply we can say that Vedic monarch was the protector and enforcer of law, morality and dharmas. So, we can say that the concept of sovereignty also was in ancient Indian thought. Then I come to the point in the part of medieval period. All of you know that in medieval period there was not a concept of sovereignty as modern concept and also as per the ancient concept. So we come to the point now in the time of modern era, that means 16th and 17th century era. In 16th and 17th centuries, Jayabodha was the propounder of the modern concept of sovereignty, and in his book Republic, he said about on the concept of sovereignty. As per Bodha, sovereignty constitutes a personal attribute of the monarch. Sovereignty came in the hands of Bodha to be regarded as constituent element of the state. Actually, he located residence of the sovereignty in the monarch. And if we say the views of Thomas Hobbes gave vast powers to his sovereignty, and his authority was absolute and unlimited. Rousseau said that sovereignty was unlimited issues. If we see Locke's view, Locke said that sovereignty is located in the people. At times, it is the legislature who is supreme. So, sovereignty is a concept, and then the idea of Locke we found in French Revolution. In the French Revolution, actually one of the important issue to emergence of the concept of sovereignty. As same, Industrial revolution is also one of the important cause for the emergence of sovereignty. Because of we know that the emergence of industrial revolution creates the enormous responsibility of states, and in that situation the state was a absolute and a supreme power. As same, then we come to the point, another point. John Austin said that he advocated a legal view of the concept of sovereignty. He said that sovereignty was absolute, unlimited, and indivisible. As per same, one of the group who were called pluralist group, the school of pluralist group, they said that the sovereignty is divisible and it must be divided between the state and other association, which in their origin and functions are as natural and necessary as the state. So I think I can say these are the background of the emergence of sovereignty in as a modern concept in modern nation state. The characteristics of sovereignty, there are few characteristics. One is absoluteness, another one is permanence, another one is universality, another one is indivisibility, another one is exclusiveness, and last one is inalienability. These are the main characteristics of sovereignty. So I discuss point to point. I go to the point absoluteness. So I come to the point absoluteness. What is absoluteness? Actually, the important feature of sovereignty is absoluteness. And what is absoluteness? Why absoluteness? Very interestingly, the sovereign power is absolute and subject to no restraint. Both internally and externally, sovereign power is free from any institution and organizations. It is free from any limitation. Within the boundaries of a state, the sovereign is over and above any individual, association, or institution. None can claim within a state immunity from the sovereignty. Actually, sovereignty is the source of law and foundation of justice. If we say the external issues, externally there is no pressure to restrain on sovereignty. It is from customs, traditions, morality, and practices. Gattel said on that basis, if sovereignty is not absolute, no state exists. So sovereignty is one of the absolute issues, and absoluteness is the prime feature of sovereignty. So next point is permanence. What is permanence and how sovereignty is permanent? These are the questions. Permanence means all of we know that in a state government come and go, but the state is permanent. As the state is permanent, so it is sovereignty. Any change in government does not mean a break in the continuity of the state or in the exercise of sovereign power. Suppose in Indian case, we know that in every 5 years after 5 years, election held and new government is formed. But the formation of government, new government, does not mean the limitation on sovereignty. Government is only a bearer of sovereignty. So, if government change, it does not mean the change of sovereignty. Government change is only the bearer changing the nature of bearer of sovereignty. So, sovereignty is a permanent issue. So, in this point, I can say sovereignty does not cease with the death or temporary disposition of a particular bearer or the reorganization of the state, but shifts immediately to a new bearer as the center of gravity shifts from one part of a physical body to another when it undergoes external changes. Dear student, the third feature of sovereignty is universality. Universality, what is universality? How sovereign power or sovereignty is universal? The sovereignty of a state is all comprehensive and universal, and it extends to all individuals and association within its confine. Hence, the commands of the sovereign are binding upon all persons and groups. No individual or any association in the territory of a state is free from its all-embracing authority. Of course, the foreign diplomats and ambassadors enjoy immunity from the control of the state in which they reside. They are subject to the laws of their own states, but this extraterritorial sovereignty of the foreign diplomats is not, however, a real limitation upon the state's sovereign power. For it is, after all, a matter of international courtesy and not compulsion. Hence, any state is at liberty to withdraw the privilege granted to the foreign diplomats. Then the point is fourth feature of sovereignty. What is the fourth feature of sovereignty? The fourth feature of sovereignty is indivisibility. How sovereignty is indivisible? Indivisibility. And why it is indivisibility? All of you know, and the student, you understand that in every political society, there exists only one authority, which is legally competent to command. The sovereign power is one unit and cannot be divided. If I quote Jelinek, to Jelinek, notion of a divided, fragmented, diminished, limited relative sovereignty is the negation of sovereignty. If we say few words from Gettel, Gettel said, if sovereignty is not absolute, no state exists. If sovereignty is divided, more than one state exists. In that issue, I quote from Colhan. Colhan said, sovereignty is an entire thing. To divide, it is to destroy. It is the supreme power in a state, and we might not as well speak of half a triangle or half of square as half of sovereignty. If we quote a few words from Gettel, Gettel said a divided sovereignty is a contradiction in term. So, sovereignty is indivisibility, and one of the feature of sovereignty is it is indivisibility. But many writers do not believe in the issue of sovereignty. According to them, the sovereign power in a federation is divided between units and center, but it is not right. In a federation, all of you know that the power shared between state and center by following constitutional mandate. So, this division of power, it does not mean the division of sovereignty. So, now come into the point, dear student, the exclusiveness. Exclusiveness is a important feature of sovereignty. Why sovereignty is exclusiveness and what is exclusiveness? Yes, exclusiveness means that only the state possesses the sovereign power and is legally competent to extend obedience. To accept the existence of more than one sovereign is to destroy the basic unit of the state. State may delegate some of its power to some association or individual on its discretion, but that does not mean that the said association or individual have acquired sovereignty. The sovereignty remains with the state. Inalienability is one of the important and prime feature of sovereignty. How it is prime feature and how inalienability is an important feature of sovereignty. Sovereignty is the indispensable element of the state, and hence its alienation would amount to the state's suicide. General will or sovereign power of state, as per Rousseau, could not be transferred, although power could be. As Leiber said that sovereignty can no more be alienated that a tree can alienate its right to sprout, or a man can transfer his life and personality without self-destruction. It may, however, be pointed out in this connection that alienation of sovereignty must not be equated with cession of a part of the state or transfer a part of the state. When a state cedes a portion of its territory, it ipso facto loses its sovereignty over the area ceded, but that does not involve the dissolution of the state and alienation of its sovereignty. Similarly, when government changes, sovereignty only shift to a new hand or new bearer, but from a old bearer, but it does not mean the alienation of sovereignty. The issue of alienation of sovereignty formed an important part of the discussion of the political theorists in the 16th and 17th centuries. The advocate of absolute monarchy like Grotius and Hobbes argued that the people might originally possess sovereignty, but that was subsequently alienated to the monarch by the people, who thus finally lost their sovereign authority. The anti-monarchist writers contested these views and opposed the cause of popular sovereignty by arguing that the people could not alienate sovereignty to the king because it is in its nature inalienable. Now I come to the point, conclusion. Till sovereignty is the principal characteristics of the state. In every state, it is working as supreme power in any form. Many scholars of the field taught argued that the emergence of globalization creates serious challenge to the sovereignty. Many says that not only not only globalization, but also other international organizations and bodies and various treaties had imposed limitation on the concept. But very interestingly, I conclude to say that till date, it is strongly, I can say that still sovereignty is the heart of the state and sovereignty is the prime feature of a state. Thank you.